Scoring in the 170s typically involves getting a perfect score on the LSAT logic games section. I'll show you how. Hey, what's up everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged, joining you today to share your LSAT logic games playbook. Before I get into it, a little bit about LSAT Unplugged. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. Check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. So the reason I'm making this video is that I know a lot of you are aiming to score 170 plus on the LSAT, which typically involves getting a perfect score on the LSAT logic games section, maybe -1, and then you're getting -3 or so on each of reasoning and reading comp to hit that 170 mark. Logic games are more perfectible than the other sections. They don't have the same perceived ambiguities of language that logical reasoning and reading comprehension have. And there are 3 major techniques I recommend to help you get that perfect score on LSAT logic games. The first technique I recommend is simply doing every single logic game ever released. There are nearly 400 released LSAT logic games at the time of recording this video. 93 exams are numbered. You then have a handful that are unnumbered. 4 games times approximately 100 exams equals 400 released LSAT logic games. Most of these games are already available to you inside LSAC's Law Hub Advantage, and I recommend getting your hands on as many actual official exams and as many actual official games as possible in order to help you maximize your practice. This will expose you to a wide variety of logic games, including, of course, ordering and grouping, but also those more rare curveball, odd logic games that you see on newer exams, similar to those on the oldest exams that don't seem to fit a neat type or neat category of games, but of course are still perfectly solvable, just like any other LSAT logic game. So the first technique I'd recommend is simply getting your hands on as many actual official games as possible and redoing them multiple times to better highlight the patterns and similarities between different logic games. The second technique I'm going to recommend for you to put inside your logic games playbook is to make as many inferences up front as possible. Most games are vulnerable to the technique of simply making inferences, making connections between the rules. When you see the same variable featured in multiple rules, it is likely that you can combine these rules together to yield an inference, which is like a super rule that will allow you to more quickly solve the game. You can even make so many inferences up front to the point that you have multiple main diagrams laying out all the possibilities of the game. The more that you do this, the more efficiently you will be able to solve the game. So number 2 again is make as many inferences up front as possible. Finally, number 3, the third technique I have to share with you here is to maximize your reuse of previous hypothetical scenarios. Your orientation question in the game is itself a valid scenario. When you find the correct answer, that is giving you an example of a valid scenario that you can use to later solve other questions in the game. Then when you do your local if questions in the game, which I recommend doing next, that will also prompt you to make additional scenarios, because if they say, for example, if X is on slot 3, what else must be true? Or if A is in, what could be true? That if statement gives you a jumping off point from which to make local diagrams. Then when you are later solving the general global questions in the game that are open-ended, simply asking you what must be true or what could be true, you have these previous valid hypothetical scenarios to help you solve those general global questions. So always, of course, save your previous work, save your valid hypothetical scenarios, keep your scratch paper organized and refer back to it when possible to help you solve these general global questions, and you'll be able to solve the game that much more efficiently. So to recap here, number 1 was simply to get your hands on as many released LSAT exams as possible and to do those games several times. There are nearly 400 released games. Do as many of those as you can to better see the patterns and connections between those different games. Number 2 was to make as many inferences up front as possible to help you solve the game more efficiently. And number 3, again, was to maximize your reuse of previous hypothetical scenarios to allow you to more efficiently solve the game by approaching the questions in a strategic order, orientation questions, then local, then global. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor, share it with someone who needs to see it. If you know anyone who is aiming to get a perfect score on logic games, if you know anyone who's aiming for 170 plus, which will typically require getting perfect on logic games, please do me a favor, share this video with them. I don't do any advertising for this channel. I rely only on word of mouth to help get the word out, and this video may make the difference for someone else hitting their goal score. In the meantime, folks, I'll wish you all the best and take care.